My name is Kyle, and this is my 2013 Honda CRZ. This is one of the rare models. It's Passionberry Purple and a 6-speed manual. Most of them are CVT, so to find one in 6-speed is a little difficult. I've had this car for probably 6 months now. It was the replacement for my Bolt EV, which I was really unhappy about. So I did a buyback because of the recall. I bought this car because back when I worked at Honda, I always loved them, especially when I found one in manual. It was very far between. And I do believe that it's going to be one of the last good hatchbacks that Honda made. My first car was a 1985 Mazda RX-7.
Since a bit of a trend going here.
Yeah, just like Tito. I unfortunately paid a little too much because of the market right now, but being that it was in a rare spec that I absolutely had to have, $15,000 seemed like a fair bet to me to purchase this car for. Didn't really have to give up anything. Had to give up my Bolt EV, but how much am I really giving up there? Just like a Honda, when I bought it, there was absolutely nothing wrong with it. It was just get in it and go, just like any classic Honda, fixes itself. Yeah, I was immediately happy when I bought this car. It's a great driver. The shifting is great. It had lower miles on it. It came with a bunch of parts on it that I don't have to buy already. It was pretty nice. The only thing I have to do is just change a couple of things to make it my own. Definitely changed the wheels. It's got Enki RPF 1s on it, which is a great wheel, but it's kind of like the Me Too wheel. It's like the cheap entry, decent wheel you can buy. There's a lot of hatred for it. Eventually I want to put Spoon SW388s on it, or some Advan RG2s or RG3s or RG2 D2s. Oh yeah, I love me some wheels. I am overall very happy with this vehicle though. What's not to love? It's purple. It's got a great tone to the exhaust. It doesn't have that loud, raspy Honda sound that you normally get. It's just an overall good driver. It's great. I'd have to say probably my least favorite thing about this vehicle though is the lack of power. It's not saying much because I honestly think it's pretty fun to drive, so there isn't too much about it that I'm unhappy about. But it is fairly slow at sometimes. The cool thing about the hybrid motor is that it uses it as an assist, kind of like a lot of the sports cars that went hybrid in the past 10 years. So you get a lot more low-end torque that you don't normally get with a gas Honda engine. So it makes up for a lot of its downfalls with that, which is pretty nice. 1.5 liter, single cam, no turbo, and only like 20 horsepower from the electric motor. Personally, I've just done some maintenance stuff. I added LRB speed under tray. I let them prototype some stuff on it. It helped fuel economy a little bit, so there is a plus for that. And I've just done regular maintenance and fixed one little coolant leak. The original plan when I looked for a vehicle to replace my last one was to just get an interim vehicle because I am trying to purchase a very popular vehicle that's coming out next year. But with the way that dealerships are working and with the ADMs just through the roof, I'll be happy just keeping this and driving it. So if I do, I'm going to be changing the wheels, like I said, to Spoon SW388s or some Advans, and then I'd like to get the paint touched up a little bit because it has the oh so very common fading paint that Hondas have, and just generally keep it fairly clean. I definitely plan on keeping this car if my next vehicle purchase falls through. At least a few years. I used to roll through cars very quickly. I would get bored with them, as most car guys normally do. But this one is just in that wheelhouse of it's fun enough to drive, doesn't really get me in trouble, and is the right color combination and parts combination for me to just be content for a while. So I would say at least a few years. Depends on how quickly I rack up the mileage on it though, so we'll see. I should know pretty soon whether or not I can purchase this next vehicle, so as soon as I find out what adjusted dealership markup is going to be I'll know whether I'm going to keep this or not, and that's when I'm going to start looking for wheels. Paint might take me a little while. Everybody always wants to do some paint work to their car, and it's just one of those pricey things. And this is currently my daily, so I would have to find a way to be able to put it down for paint, and find something else to drive in the interim. So there's just a couple of hurdles, but wheels are definitely going to be very soon, probably next year. I love that they put the split rear window in these, just like the CRX.
Oh yeah, I mean like this Prius thing too.
Oh yeah.
Wing in between.
Hold on now. What are you calling it? Listen, let's forget the Prius.
Let's not talk about this.
We're not going to talk about the Prius. CRX, yeah.
Insight.
Yeah. Hold on a second. I think that's part of why these cars didn't catch on all that well, because when they first came out, hybrid was still kind of a bad word, you know what I mean? It was very synonymous with, like, you know, tree hugger, Prius, slow, and this thing really wasn't geared towards that. They really wanted to market it as a sports car. I highly recommend buying a CRZ in manual. To be clear, the CVT, really slow, you're gonna hate driving that thing, not fun at all. Manual gearbox in these with the 6-speed, it makes it a blast to drive, super fun. Highly recommend this or the Honda Fit. If anybody was going to buy one of these, I would tell them to count their days before they bought a door handle and buy a spare to begin with. The outside door handles are the whole folding mechanism is plastic and they break very easily. And that's been a point of contention for a lot of people with these cars. Luckily, as a technician, I was able to buy it pretty cheap, but they are very expensive. You could be looking at $500 if you go to a dealership to replace it. So doing it before it breaks is a must, and that's really the only thing you got to worry about on these. I would recommend that if somebody's looking for one of these, to look for the EX trim level. That's the one that comes with, it's got the LED DRLs, it's got the reverse light, it's got the better sound system with the subwoofer in the back. It's the more premium version of the CRZ. Being that these are kind of hard to find in manual, I was looking all over the state for one, and one popped up in Orlando, which is about 100 miles away from me. So I was on the phone immediately with the dealership trying to buy it. I didn't even go see it, I didn't test drive it. He sent me a couple of pictures, so I knew that it had wheels on it, but that's as far as I really knew. And by the time they delivered it to me, I found out it had all these really cool, rare parts on it. Spoon brakes, the Art Performance exhaust, some suspension components, Jay's Racing shocks. It's really well equipped as is, so it's a lot of things that I wouldn't have to buy in the future, which is really nice. I guess the previous owner was a car enthusiast, because he printed out a list of all the modifications and laminated it and put it in the glove box. And I was able to find him on Facebook and reach out to him and let him know, it went to another enthusiast, somebody who's really going to enjoy the car. And shortly after that, I joined the CRZ community, and this car is really well known with all those people. It's kind of a tight-knit community. People all over the state were like, oh, that's such and such's car, and it's got this and that. Be careful with this part. It's impossible to find. That it's really cool. It's a very cool community. So I have my own YouTube channel. It's fairly new still, but I've got about 11 videos up. I customize Hot Wheels, so if you want to see wheel swaps, a little bit of paint, come check me out over there. The link is in the description below. The name is Diecraft Customs on Instagram and YouTube. Okay, that is my 2013 Honda CRZ. If you like what you saw, comment, subscribe, like, check out future videos. I may be in one. We'll see.